the quality, and I don't mind. I don't mind if they stretch it.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
fair.
can't more because there's nothing else after that.
I don't know. It sounds a little bit like milking, but
Listen, buddy, milking is we reach the end, let's do more, even though there's no more. That's milking.
my man, they stretched the final season to 3 parts. With the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, but Harry Potter fucking boring. I like it. Listen, buddy.
Listen,
Harry
buddy.
Potter is not animated, and we all know here that
Oh,
animation takes fucking ages sometimes, or like the process is even more extensive at times.
Oh,
You
yeah,
saw,
for sure.
you saw how long fucking Into the Spider-Verse took to be made. It was like what, like 6 years?
Oh yeah, did you
I
guys see
mean-
it? It came out yesterday.
What?
Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah. You guys didn't watch it?
Really?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, man.
I'm afraid to answer.
Man, you guys are telling me that the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse came out yesterday and y'all didn't rush out to the theaters to watch it?
You know what? I know
You
where you're
can't-
going with this, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna stay quiet.
I'm not gonna bite. I'm gonna stick over here in my lane.
So there was the original like announcement for the release date was April
this man.
like April 8th. April 8th, 2022.
Mhm.
So someone like quote retweeted that original tweet from the Spider-Verse account, announcing that hey, the sequel is coming out April 8th, 2022, and the quote tweet was like guys, it's finally out. It was
It's such a sad moment for all of you that are excited for that movie.
yeah.
Damn.
Is that later this year or is it next year?
I actually don't know. I
What's
feel
it
like
called? Across the something?
I don't know why I have like October kicking around in my head. But at the same time, I also feel like I heard that it was pushed to 2023, so I don't know.
Oh man, whatever's gonna be, it's gonna be special. The fact that each new character is gonna have their own art style, like same as the first one, but like each dimension's gonna have its own really unique art style. It's gonna be pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's October 7th, so
Okay, cool.
So cool, man.
yeah, that movie's gonna be really fucking fun.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so if you guys want to check out sound, while I put up
Alright.
the thumbnail.
Yeah, well, check on sound and I'll go bless it out. Make sure we're good.
It's testing. We are Baba Booey.
Bro, where is this thumb? What did I title this fucking thumbnail? Okay,
Dance.
there we go. Beautiful. All right. I feel like this is probably going to be a pretty short podcast. So,
All right, we sound so far. Just need to wait for Macho, and we'll be good.
cool. All right. Well, I just beat Mr. Freeze's ass last night.
Hey, man. Oh, Origin on a city, right?
Yeah, city.
Very nice, man. Did you enjoy that fight?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, look at him having to take a breather right now because I whooped his ass.
You pummeled him so hard.
Yeah, man. Look at him.
Man's like, let me catch your breath. Let me catch your breath.
I mean, the context for the fight happening in the first place is kind of stupid. Because it's like he was like the big thing that like started this fight was like, Batman, you need to go and save my wife, or if you don't, I'm gonna kill you. And then he just starts attacking you, even though we've kind of been like on quote unquote like friendly terms before this fight happened. Like we were like what's the word, like begrudging like allies before he started fighting me. And then after I beat his ass, Batman agrees to help him out anyway, and I'm like, this all could have been avoided. Like, you didn't have to like threaten me. Like, sure, I would love to help your wife, man, but like, you don't need to threaten to kill me in order for me to do that. Like, I don't know. It was really weird. Like, I don't.
It's a video game thing, man. It's a video game.
Exactly. That was one of those moments where it's just like, okay, like we can't have Mr. Freeze totally being like friendly here. Like, we need a boss fight. So, so yeah.
I feel like it's one of those fights where it's like your friend is acting up, and you're like, all right, buddy, you gotta chill. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, for real.
Pummel.
He has one of the more unique boss fights, I'll say though.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Very memorable, I say. One of the more memorable ones for me.
Yeah.
I when I think Arkham City, I think like Mr. Freeze. I think I'm not gonna say those.
I'll say so. Be careful what you say, Will, because there's
I was like, wait a minute,
could be a
this is his
spoiler.
first time.
Yeah. There's a couple like be a spoiler if
but you know the ones that are like like more towards the later. Because the cool thing about City, it's like some bosses are not even like main bosses. You just find them around the world. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, man. Wonder if Jared Leto will be there.
I'm still waiting for that one villain that I don't know if Jay, if you ran into this villain, but we were talking about the Batman movie. I was talking about potential villains that could be in the sequel. You laughed at one of them when I said his name. So I'm wondering if you probably ran into that one yet, because it's more of an Easter egg than it is like a boss fight or anything.
Nah, probably not, because I don't remember. And I'm still early on, so yeah, I haven't really seen too much of the game. I'm like 18% through, so yeah, haven't seen too much.
This man forgot what he said.
Anyway, let's jump into this podcast. Guys, welcome back to the 55th episode of the DualShock Sense Podcast. I'm your host, Soul, the connoisseur of anime waifus, joined as always by my two co-hosts. I got Macho. How you doing, man?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good. What's going on, everybody? It's the King of Kingdom Hearts and the Final Fantasy fanatic. Guys, I'm a little sad actually. This because I don't know if you heard, but the Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers Edition released, and it's another bad port, another bad Square Enix port. Dude, I don't know what's going on over there, but
yeah, what's going on?
We'll talk. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like that's why every time a Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers comes out or a Strangers of Paradise, I am still absolutely bewildered at the quality that Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. Like it feels like Square Enix didn't work on that game at some point, or at least it's the Square Enix just tapped into the SquareSoft like mindset. It was like that. Let's make this thing amazing, and then everything else is just downright bad. So I don't know, dude. I don't know, but I'm sad. But anyways, I'm happy for this week for this podcast because we got a lot of really cool things to talk about. One of the more unique weeks for gaming news, I feel like.
And we also got Walt here. How you doing, man?
Nice to be here, y'all. The Manga Maniac, ready to talk games and news. And to Macho's point of sometimes tapping into the mindset of previous iterations of the studio, I was watching a critical play Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and it clicked. Oh man, this is platinum as well. And it's like, wait a minute, what happened? It really fell. Like then you see like Babylon's Fall, and like bro, and you play Revengeance. Like I was watching, I'm like gonna download that game on my Xbox later on because I want to replay it. That game still holds up until today. Like that game is crazy bonkers, anime, fighting and dialogue, and sometimes it can be
so
like.
Does it hold up or doesn't it hold up?
Here's the thing, man. Even with all the like quote unquote like cringy dialogue, it fits in and it makes sense. Babylon's Fall, its faults are very faulty, and they don't click with you. There's faults, quote unquote, that do fit in other games, but this is not the case with that. But yeah, man, I'm really excited to play that game this week, maybe when I get back into my weeb phase and tap into my absurd action Michael Bay-esque just gameplay. But yeah, good to be here, y'all. Thank you for inviting me. I had to clear out my schedule.
This man talking like he's a guest or something. God
I mean,
damn.
all the times he missed a podcast, might as well be a guest. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
damn.
You know what I'm saying?
God damn. Hey yo. Um. Anyway, guys, we're
Chill.
we're happy to be here. We're in a good mood. Go ahead and like and subscribe to the podcast, man. We would greatly appreciate that. So yeah, we're gonna get started by talking about the games that we've been playing this past week. I'll kick things off first because it's really been just really an extension of the past few weeks. Just slowly chipping away at Arkham City and Forbidden West. So nothing really new to report there. Still having a great time with both games. But Walt, I wanted to talk to you about a little game that I haven't
Uh-huh.
played. I haven't played, but
Mhm.
I've been watching some videos on, or one video in particular about it. And that is Dark Souls 2.
Mm.
What's your opinion about this? Because obviously this is a very controversial game in sort of the From Software pantheon, right? This is the sort of the redhead stepchild or whatever of the Dark Souls franchise. This is the one that Miyazaki famously did not direct. Um,
Mhm.
but just purely based off this one video that I was watching, like sure, it's got like it's got a ridiculous number of bosses in compared to like the other games. Maybe not so much in comparison to Elden Ring. Like I feel like it's pretty similar to what I've heard about Elden Ring in terms of like the number of bosses that both games have.
Mhm.
But it just purely off of like I was listening to like some of the lore about like King Vendrick, for instance, and
Mhm.
just how like utterly sad and tragic that character is. But just like how much more like oppressively like sad and melancholy Dark Souls 2 feels in comparison to like the other two games. Like sure, like the other like Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls in general is really sort of melancholy and depressing, but Dark Souls 2 especially I feel like is more so than the other two games. And yeah, I just wanted to like pick your brain a little bit. Like, have you played Dark Souls 2? Like what's your opinion on that game? Because I was really surprised to find out like not only the lore but like the atmosphere is like surprisingly I don't know what I was expecting, but it's like it really caught me off guard just like watching some videos and listening to some people talk about this game.
It very much is the more obscure title in my mind. So I've played it. Um, but back when I was playing it, it was in the wake of Sekiro. I think I was so pumped for the Souls genre again. It had been like a few months since I played Bloodborne um again, and I wanted to play all of the Souls games. So I downloaded two. A friend of mine and I agreed to download it and play through the story together. But he ended up playing another game, and I ended up starting it on my own because I just wanted to play. I just wanted to start it, and I got through maybe three bosses,
Hmm.
and it still has one of those mechanics that the old Souls games have, that you have these permanent debuffs unless you take certain like items when you die.
Yeah.
So like your health will decrease permanently, you'll become a ghost or like a phantom or whatever.
Right. The
And
the
I
hollow the
got
hollow
this
stuff or
the
whatever.
hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got discouraged because that shit's annoying. um
Yeah. Just like
Demon
just like
Souls
Demon
has it.
Souls. Yep. Yep.
hmm Demon Souls has it, and here's the thing, man. Demon Souls is easy, so I didn't have that much of a problem. But it's the kind of thing where you're already punishing me through gameplay and through certain like areas and how enemies are placed because it's hard. Don't punish me even more. So I got discouraged, but I've seen some videos, I've seen some lore of it, and I want to get back into it because it does, at the end of the day, it does have some interesting lore. Like you said, it is one of the sadder games.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly so, even sadder than Bloodborne, because Bloodborne, at least you have this sense of hope that you're going to get out of the nightmare.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's one of the big things that I love about the Souls games and even Sekiro and everything, and specifically Elden Ring. You have this sense of you're gonna get to a better place. You just have to get through all this shit first. But Dark Souls 2 just felt like I'm never getting out of this shit. So I was like, oh man, it's like mentally exhausting. But I want to get back into it. But I don't despise it like other people do because other people are just hardcore. Like I mean, Macho has encountered them on Twitter. Just the hardcore Souls fans that are just like, ugh, this is the prequel type of thing. You know, like some certain people treat the prequel from Star Wars really horribly. That's how they treat Dark Souls 2. And I'd
Yeah.
say, and it's a weirdo mentality because they'll go, Miyazaki didn't direct it because it's not a real Dark Souls. It's like, no, shut up. It's a real Dark Souls. It's still a mainline like franchise title. It's just not designed the way you want. I would say Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 are very different from each other.
So why? So let me interject real quick and ask: why don't people consider Sekiro like a Souls game?
Because of how it's like essentially designed. You don't have your uh, customizable main, quote unquote protagonist. You don't have the selection of weapons. You don't have the same level design. There's a parry. People think there's hardcore fans that think that the role knights in shining armor, like I'm only gonna use my sword to beat this boss type of deal is like the true Souls experience. This hardcore, just third person hack and slash. It's so difficult, get good kind of thing. I think Sekiro is also a soul. You know how they say like Soulsborne? There's no way of
Yeah,
consider Sekiro to be in that. It's just different, but it still has the FromSoft DNA through and through. In some aspects, like Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is different from each other. They're all very different from each other, but they all essentially have the DNA. They
right.
have what makes them a Final Fantasy title. Um, I consider it a mainline. Like it's part of the Souls French or like Souls DNA, Souls family. Uh, but I'd say the black sheep in terms of different is Sekiro because of the way that was designed, the parry system and everything. It's the most unique one, I'd say, the most different one. Uh, but
Yeah,
people
'cause
hate.
it feels like the way you're talking about, like that tried and true, like I'm only gonna use my sword and shield kind of thing. Is like Sekiro does that, except it makes it more blatant. Like you're
Right,
only using your sword. Yeah,
right, and but the thing, people will. I don't know. It's weirdo. I don't know. It's weirdo mentality because they'll justify and say that because Sekiro is so different, it's not even Dark Souls, bro. It's not even close to it. It's a different game. It's like no, bro. It's like it's still you arrive in an arena. The highlight of that game, one of the highlights, is like the bosses. It's like every other game, but Sekiro has a more structured narrative. There's an actual protagonist with a voice. You can't change his clothes and whatnot. A lot of people see Dark Souls. Oh, fashion Souls. Oh, you can't do that in Sekiro. So it loses part of the charm. I'm like, no, it still has charm.
that's fun. That's
But
funny.
yeah,
But tou
Soul I would definitely like
but
say
touching
like
touching on like
say.
you mentioned narrative. Like I was surprised that
Hmm.
Dark Souls 2 specifically, like it has like the most, I would say, the most coherent narrative out of the three
Hmm.
Dark Souls games. And it's really interesting because it's essentially like it is pretty much a direct sequel of Dark Souls 1, like in a narrative standpoint. But then
Hmm.
Dark Souls 3 comes around and it just doesn't even like pick up like any of the like interesting threads that Dark Souls 2 kind of starts. So like
Right.
so that made like Dark Souls 3, I don't know, like watching the video that I did kind of made like Dark Souls 3 kind of like a little bit like lesser in my eyes.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, like I don't even know if you're like familiar with like the whole like King Vendrick story, but like man, just like watching like who he is, his motivations, the like difficult decisions that he needed to make, and then like entering his boss room and seeing sort of like because like that game does like it deals a lot with like memories and entering memories of like people who existed in like different timelines and
Hmm.
seeing essentially like his like he's basically like this giant king, and you walk into like the room that he's like locked inside of, and you see like his sort of like kingly outfit just like on the floor, like his boots and his like cape and his shirt and like all of that just like laid out on the ground, and then you see what is just like walking around like a zombie, essentially like naked around the room, is this giant like hollowed creature just like dragging its sword around, not even like fighting you or anything like that. And like it immediately just starts like like you have all these questions like what the hell happened in this room, like why is this thing like first of all not attacking me, what is this thing, why does it look like a hollowed creature, why is it still clinging on to this giant sword, right? And then you start getting into it, you actually explore this guy's memories, you find out that that creature is King Hendrik or Vendrick. And yeah, it's super super sad, but learning about that character specifically, and I was just like my jaw was on the ground, man, like learning about some of the things that happen in that game, and it makes me want to play it. But then again, like then again, yeah, I don't know, man. It's the same thing with Dark
It's
Souls 1. Like I don't want to deal with
yeah.
Capra Demon. Like that's the one
Oh,
reason, that's the one reason why I don't want to play that game.
like I see those games and the big thing. So I don't know about the lore of Dark Souls 2, but it sounds like it's like the same universe but like a different storyline. Because I know Dark Souls 3 like piggybacks off Dark Souls 1 a lot, especially with the Soul of Cinder and how essentially that's your character from Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
So it really it's a nice full circle. I feel like Dark Souls 2 is the quote unquote black sheep because it's oh, like a spin-off. We're touching on this story over here that doesn't have anything to do with the Ashen one or like with Gwen and whatnot. Maybe there's stuff there that I don't know, man. You know, I haven't played the game through and through, and I
Yeah.
haven't seen official like I want to look up Vatividia and then like look at a lore video.
And
Yesterday I was looking at Elden Ring video and
I think that's Dark Souls 3 fault for like you having that feeling. It's similar to how I feel about Mass Effect 2,
mm,
where Mass Effect 1 is this beautiful, beautiful like self-contained story, but it also leaves the door open for like more stories. And then Mass Effect 2 comes around and it just like it feels like this sort of like side story thing. And then it's like Mass Effect
mm,
3 comes along and it has to do all this heavy lifting because Mass Effect 2 basically just like it went off and did its own thing and didn't like really continue the story off of Mass Effect 1 in any like meaningful sort of way.
mm.
It's like really it feels like Mass Effect 3 is the sequel to Mass Effect 1. And yeah, in a weird way, like I kind of from what I've seen out of Dark Souls 2, that's kind of the feeling that I get from that in a narrative standpoint.
Yeah, I think it's like a different vision from directors as well. I mean, it very much it's not to that extreme point, but like the Star Wars, the latest sequels, how Rise of Skywalker just ignores some of the things that the Last Jedi did, or
Yeah.
from the
Yeah, that's a good
Force
example.
Awakens.
Yeah, that's a good example.
It, but why is that the case? Because of the director change and because it's a different vision. Uh,
Yeah.
at that point, I don't even blame the game. Because it's you know there's still the DNA. There's it's still a Dark Souls game, but the vision of the story very much differs from game to game, similar
And
to the
then there's
movies.
things like to that point, but there's even things that Dark Souls 2 I would say does even better than Dark Souls 3. Um More like specifically about like the interconnected world. Like it's in Dark Souls 2 like the world that you're exploring is more so like stacked on top of each other. It's sort of like how like I guess like Yharnam would be where it's all
Yeah,
like
like in Bloodborne,
interconnected,
how the nightmares are stacked on each other.
or how just everything is really just interconnected to one another, right?
Mm,
Whereas
mm,
Dark Souls 3, I felt like everything was like so like disconnected almost, right? Like you
mm.
weren't exploring like this one like single location broken off into like many different areas, right? That you kind of like
Right.
freely explore between.
Mm.
Like I don't know, it just kind of felt like you were just like going through like a almost like a straight line or whatever. Or just like the
I agree.
locations were just
I
disconnected.
agree.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's something that I've been trying to like articulate. Like in my mind, I've been thinking about the Souls games and Dark Souls 3, fantastic game. Don't get me wrong. The
Yeah.
bosses, the music, the design,
Yeah, for
fantastic.
sure.
But and the story is something, you know, there's I like the you need to beat these X amount of people to achieve this one goal and there's always like you having the cinders and whatever, Lords of Cinder. But it does feel like after playing Elden Ring, well, wow, Dark Souls 3 is very much just a straight line. Because even Bloodborne feels like it's one area that is interconnected to different areas.
Yeah,
You
for
can go
sure.
to Yahar Ghul, the Unseen Village. You can go to the Witch's place. You can go to the Snake Forest, the Forbidden Forest. It very much feels like a single tree and various roots. Where
Yeah.
Dark Souls 3 does feel like a straight line from uh,
Location A to
uh
location B.
yes, and it's surprising because once you get to Aldrich, the Devourer of Gods, which is the end of that first straight line, you get sent back to further back of that straight line, and you need to only go to another layer of that line, which is to the Lorien princes, which is just
Yeah.
an upper part. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Wow, that's
It's
even Sekiro, man. Like Sekiro's fucking man.
yeah.
Have you played Sekiro so?
No, I didn't. I'm
Okay.
gonna send you that video because it's this guy who played the Dark Souls trilogy for the first time.
Hmm.
And he basically did this one giant video where it's a retrospective on all three games, and he's like the way that he was able to like explain like what he was able to get from the lore and his experience through like the gameplay for the first time as someone who is not good at games, and he stayed away because of the whole the difficulty, sort of
Yeah.
what people make out, these games to be like
Which
impossible and whatever, and the
which is
get good
not at
mentality.
all like that.
Exactly, which is exactly what he talks about in that video.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and he
I
kind
want to
of
watch
like
it.
debunks the whole like the game needs like an easy mode and whatever because the games give you the tools to make it as easy or as difficult as you want it to be. Right? He
Hmm.
was talking about essentially like the shield is like one of the things that definitely makes the game much more manageable for him. The co-op is essentially an easy mode for him, is what he was talking about. All these different things. Yeah, it was a really good
Nice.
video. And when he got to Dark Souls 3, I haven't finished his Dark Souls 3 section yet, but one of the biggest things that
Hmm.
stood out to me when he was talking about it was that it also Dark Souls 2 he feels like Dark Souls 2 was like sort of the genesis for Elden Ring. Like Dark Souls 2 has a lot of like failed
Oh,
ideas, but you could tell that like their their ambitions for Dark Souls 2 almost got like too big, and it was like they looked at Dark Souls 2 and were like, okay, now we can do that in Elden Ring in a much more like better and like clean way, which is also really interesting. But Dark Souls 3
interesting.
specifically, he was like, you could tell that like once they got to Dark Souls 3, it was like, okay, we've already been there, we've already done that. Like it was time to move on from the franchise, and
Hmm.
thematically, with that game sort of being like the story of like being an end to like the flame or whatever, like you could tell like even like thematically like the developers were feeling very much the same way, like it's time to put like an end to Dark Souls, and that's why they moved on afterwards, and why Dark Souls 3 is kind of like the last game. But like he was feeling like the same kind of like tiredness of like man, like it's really just going through the motions at this point with Dark Souls 3. Like we've kind of been there, we've done that. There's not really
Hmm.
much new here or anything like that. So yeah, it was really interesting like hearing his perspective on all three of these games. Um,
I think that's really fascinating because it makes like the future of these games even more interesting. Because
100%.
we just saw a new story come out where one fantasy author was actually
Bro,
reached out to about
Brandon
writing
Sanderson.
a Souls like a Soulsborne game or a game of that caliber,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is really cool. Like I love the idea of like developers reaching out to fantasy authors to build up on lore, same way George R. R. Martin did for Elden Ring, and then they just take with that foundation, just take it wherever they want to go with. I think that's such a cool idea.
my only thing is, and like I don't know how Walt, how you feel about this, but my only thing is that like don't get me wrong, like I think Brandon Sanderson is like incredibly talented, and I don't know the
Hmm.
lore in Elden Ring, so I don't know how that stacks up in comparison to like Bloodborne or the Souls games lores. But like
Hmm.
I from just like the research that I've been doing on these three games like this past week, like the lore is I guess like the the world of Dark Souls in general is unlike really like it exists in this weird place where it's like it's not it's almost like both dark fantasy and high fantasy at the same time, and because of that it kind of creates it sits in its own like little niche, like weird niche. And I don't know, it's so uniquely like itself. And it's not Lord of the Rings, it's not Berserk, it's kind of like both at the same time. And I don't know, like the lore is so well done in all three of those games. And like I'm a little concerned by this idea or this insistence on like, okay, we got to get these big name authors to sort of handle the stories and the lore in these games, when I'm like, they were already so well done before, right? So like, I don't know, I'm a
Right.
little nervous, like, does that sort of like muddy things for future games, or does it mean that future games are going to be like oversimplified now that we have these big name authors doing this? Like, I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it's more so on the creative side of things and just elaborating on already made concepts. Because Miyazaki, don't get me wrong, fantastic creator, fantastic visions of what he wants to create in the game. But I have to say, like after playing Elden Ring, the story is the most nuanced it's been in a while in a FromSoft game. Uh, there's layers upon layers to everything that's going on, and there's open-ended questions that really make you think, like in ways that other games never did. Because I'd argue that Dark Souls, I agree, Dark Souls has a tried and true formula and story that I don't think needs changing or going into a different direction. But I do think it's one of the more simpler ones. And that's crazy. I would never have said that before Elden Ring. Before Elden Ring, Dark Souls, I was like, oh my god, what's happening? But after playing Elden Ring, I'm like, oh my god, that was easy. That was like simple compared to this, because there's just so much. And I think with, if they put in Brandon Sanderson, I've only read Way of the Kings. Uh, that man has the fantasy mind as well. But I'd say Brandon Sanderson is a bit more. It's from what I've read. I haven't read the entire Stormlight archive.
Yeah.
It's a lot less dark than George R. R. Martin, and I think the Miyazaki needed like like something else to his flavor, because I just think it's more of a creative differences that when they're together they can have this concept that's a bit more elevated, which with Elden Ring being the case. I'm not too worried. Honestly, whatever they do next, whatever new IP, I don't know what's gonna be. I'm still over here praying with my dark circle here in the back of my room. There's a little room where I have candles lit up and everything in the middle. Very much like Joe. I have this
Oh, that's where
Bloodborne
your dog's
copy.
barking at?
No, that's not me. That's that's
That's
so.
not you.
That's
That's
so.
That's fine.
oh, that's your dog in the background.
Wow, I see how it is, Macho.
Man, I know you got a small dog. That's why I said something.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping, I don't think the Brandon Sanderson thing is for Bloodborne 2, but I do hope that at some point they are like, hey man, this game is actually like pretty highly praised, so let's make something else. But I'm
Yeah,
not too worried.
I definitely think it's going to be open world. It's not going to be Elden Ring 2, but it's going to be open world.
Another open world. It worked. Let me tell you, like the formula is a lot more beginner friendly in terms of the Soul series has always had here's the tools. It's as easy or as hard as you make it, like you mentioned, Soul.
Yeah, for
But I
sure.
think Elden Ring stepped it up with like, here's some mini bosses that you can level up with before you tackle this big boss, which that was never the case in other games. In Bloodborne, you either got through Father Quest going or you're not gonna play the rest of the game. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
But with quite literally Elden Ring, you can skip the first boss for I don't even know if you have to play it, like beat him like after for like hours and hours after you progress to the main story. So
Yeah.
cool stuff, man.
Yeah, for
Cool
sure.
stuff.
That's gonna do it for me. So yeah, go ahead, guys. Go ahead and talk about what games you've been playing this week.
To that point, real quick to finish off, then, because we're already in the Souls talk. I've been playing Elden Ring, and you can finally Rest. I finally have acquired the Elden Ring Platinum,
Oh yeah.
and I let me tell you, man.
I saw your tweet. Congrats, man.
Thank you,
Yeah.
man. Thank you. It's
Did you do
man.
multiple playthroughs or?
I did one extra playthrough because I needed some other trophies, but no, I did the same thing because the steps were too fucking bad. I'm not gonna fucking play through it again, like just to get another ending. I did the save data, upload save data, and go back and forth through the three endings. Um,
Good man. Good man.
Three trophy endings because apparently there's like seven endings. Um, Here's the thing, man. I needed to replay it or like continue to Game Plus because there was some things that I locked myself out of because it's after a certain point that you can't do it. Um, there's this whole other ending that you need to like towards that ending. There's a boss that you need to kill, and whatever. So I needed to do that New Game Plus. Um, Let me tell you, man. I'd say that this platinum is one of the. I'd say not, easier for the fact that it it's not locked behind like absurd challenges. It's locked, there's bosses behind them, but there's no like you have to find the specific item that's in the specific room after you complete the specific like trial, whatever. Uh, like like a high score or whatever. Like, I hate trophies that have you have to have these SSS platinum like the Resident Evil Village. Golly, when I needed to do the mercenaries mode, I needed to get the SS plus whatever. Oh man, that was a pain. To get the lightsaber, that was a pain. Um,
Man, I don't know how you got the lightsaber. I didn't even bother with that. You don't really need that to get that trophy.
I know I just need
But
one of the lightsaber. um, the man, Elden Ring, man. So I played Elden Ring. I beat it. I actually got to the ending this very week, so that's when I actually started to get the other trophies. A lot of so I want to like talk a little about just a brief second about how on Twitter there's this whole thing about how the bosses in Elden Ring are lower tier compared to like Dark Souls or like Bloodborne or other bosses in previous games. And honestly, I think that's because of how the game is designed. Let me explain. So in
100%.
so in
I didn't even get that far, but I can ready to tell you, like, yeah, like, I totally agree with that.
so Dark Souls 3, like to how we mentioned previously, it's a straight line. Therefore, it's more focused. You have the Lords of Cinder. You have these big names. You understand the concept. The opening movie actually gave you an idea of what's going on. Bloodborne. Literally, did you hear great ones? There are these beings. There are, insight. You see, the the environment gives you a sense of how powerful and how menacing these bosses are. Elden Ring is a case where because you diverge so much and because you have all this leveling up on the side, there's people that are gonna be over it at some point. And they're gonna be like, okay, I'm strong enough. Let me get through this boss. Oh, finally, I killed them. Okay, let's go to the next one. They didn't even pay attention. Like Godric, for example. Godric, I think, is one of the more epic battles because of how it's laid out. From him cutting the thing and going to the second phase and the music wrapping up, it's epic. But I think that after a while, because it's been so long since you fought Godric, you start to forget about how cool that fight was. Dark Souls, you're trying and trying, and you can't get through this boss, and you're trying, and Dancer of the Boreal Valley is a pain. Oh my god, and I can't. And once you beat Dancer, that's ingrained into your mind. You can never forget the Dancer. But in Elden Ring, because it's so free, free roam, it's up to you, and you determine the path that you want to do. There's no structure, so there's nothing really that sticks like that. For me, everything's stuck. The demigods, holy hell, man, fantastic. Elden Ring has like one of the more rich storylines out of the Souls series. It's a phenomenal game, and I'm still finding out shit about it, and will for years and years. Um, Man, I'm happy that I got the platinum. I'm happy that I beat the game. I I'm gonna hop back in only when if I want to do another ending that's not trophy based. If I want to do more challenges, like beat a certain boss with a certain weapon or whatever, maybe help other people. maybe a hop here and there to just be summoned during certain bosses to help other people defeat them. Um, Help some friends do co-op. Uh, we'll see, man. But I did 107 hours, and I can say that I don't have to mainly focus on that game. Now I can go back to my girl, Aloy, and get through Horizon Forbidden West.
Yes,
Um,
sir. Yes, sir.
and funny thing is, I'll be playing that, and I'll be playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland. So Ashley Birch is gonna be all over me, all over my
Whoa.
mind. Hey
Whoa,
yo,
whoa,
hey
pause.
yo, no, no, no way, yo, no, go back, go
Whoa.
back.
Whoa.
No, no, all over
Jesus
my mind.
Christ.
Yeah, yikes,
God damn.
yikes.
Man,
Ah.
Macho, why don't you come in and save our podcast before we get demonetized, man?
Yeah, man. Jesus, man. Wow. Yeah. So actually, I've been playing a couple of. I've been opposite of Walt here. I've not been fantasizing over my voice actresses.
Hey yo, yeah, you have.
What?
Oh, Brenda
Cap.
Song.
Damn,
Cap.
you find out something new about your podcast host every day, man. This is crazy.
Well, man, the cap is strong out here. Anyways, yeah. So actually, I've been diving into some old school games the past week. I just been having a JRPG fix, more on the side of the classic stuff. So I've been really battling between like all these different great JRPGs after I finish Triangle Strategy Sunday, I want to say. That game is absolutely fantastic, guys. Like it's absolutely one of my favorite games of the year. One of the surprises of 2022 next to Sifu. I did not really expect to enjoy the game this much, but it's it's so weird with me in strategy RPGs because whenever I get in, I feel like I'm not really like a big fan of that genre, but whenever I do get into one, I end up absolutely like loving it to the point where I'm just like, yeah, it's one of my favorite games. I can't wait to replay it, go on New Game Plus or completely level out my characters or whatever case may be. It was the same situation with Fire Emblem Awakening, Valkyria Chronicles, Project Cross Zone, which I don't know if you heard of that game, but it's basically just a crossover game between Bandai Namco characters, Capcom characters, and there's another branch. But basically, you're just getting like all these different characters in one strategy RPG that's really kind of by the numbers. What's it called? Like grid based gameplay, but you're using all these characters in the fighting game kind of style. That's really cool. But regardless, yeah. So go back to Triangle Strategy. It's up there, and I can't wait to actually do New Game Plus because all the routes you do take are they branch off into really these kind of intricate storylines where you have this Suikoden effect where you can get new characters and different characters with every different playthrough. That whichever whatever choice you do end up doing in the big choices that really do matter and affect the game's story. So I'm really excited to kind of really get into that. And yeah, they absolutely up the ante. There's a couple of times where I'm putting down my controller, really thinking of like, damn, what choice do I want to do? Like, cause it really has like an effect on the story and the characters and your relationships to them and all that stuff. And again, people that you can recruit. So it's really fascinating stuff. To the point where one of like the last, I won't spoil it for a while because I know he's gonna play it, but like one of the last third of the choices, like you really have to decide whether to abandon this group of people that have really been relying on you for their support and just for your just for overall like your their basis for actually surviving. Like you can either choose to abandon them, which, and again, they give a lot more story context, because I'm saying in a very binary way, but they give a lot more story context to the point where I was like, damn, but if I do that, this can probably help me in this situation that's really crazy. Like, and so I was really sitting down and really jesting over these choices, man. It's like it's actually pretty crazy, the kind of choice that they give you and how it affects the story and everything. And of course, like I said before in my last wrap up for this game, that the later portions of the game do end up getting way more challenging and definitely have you changing up the gameplay, which is really cool. But yeah, I finished that out on Sunday and I really enjoyed it, loved it. Can't wait to do New Game Plus on that one. And the other game I've been focusing on, which I started back in February, really just following the JRPG fix. Has been Trails in the Sky, Legend of Heroes. And that game is just beautiful. It's just JRPG goodness. The characters is I think this game released like early 2000s on PSP. So I'm playing it on PC with a little more a bit of enhancements. Look a little cleaner, it's running a little better, and it's one of those JRPGs that just has so much heart and soul in its characters and its world that, and it's all in the writing, man. It's all in the writing that really fleshes out these characters and the country that you're sort of traveling through with your two protagonists, Joshua and Estelle. That are just trying to become bracers, and bracers are kind of sort of like this third party, like elite forces that they are planted throughout the country, and they've helped solve problems that are sort of not like government related. So they're very much kind of like their own thing. But Estelle and Joshua are essentially just traveling this country, just trying to become full on bracers, and along the way they meet different people, obviously, and so it goes into the entire JRPG kind of trope of like adventure and all that kind of stuff. So it's really fun, really good stuff. I'm excited to just finish this one. So this is more of like a replay, and then jump into the second chapter, which I haven't played before. But yeah, man. So, and the last one to end it off, replayed and finished Kingdom Hearts 1 on PS2, and that game still hits, man. That ending is absolutely just incredible. Like I still get chills just thinking about it, just thinking about the ending and just re-experiencing that whole thing from Sora when he first started. Just really wanted to go out to explore different worlds and really just get a better sense of like what's really out there, and to kind of get hit in the face with like all this different kind of stuff from Ansem and Heartless, and really how that affects like kind of the way these worlds operate, and how everybody is really just kind of controlled by these extraterrestrial sort of powers is really fascinating stuff. And the way it ends off is like super bittersweet, where Sora and Kairi, they reunite, but the thing is, when Sora actually restores all the worlds, she gets sent back to Destiny Islands, and he makes it his own mission to find Riku, who was trapped on the other side of the world.
Riku.
Yeah, to find him and to find King Mickey as well, because they're both trapped on the darkness side of the world. So really good stuff. And yeah, shout out to the title Hikaru with Simple and Clean. That song is like so iconic. Like back then, 2002, like that was like a video game having lyrical songs in it was just a banger. Like a 10 out of 10 is gonna be it's awesome. It's there for a reason. It's amazing. This one still hits. It's really cool. But yeah, playing it on PS2 was definitely an experience, man. I would say that. It's so weird to because you can obviously play this game on PS4 and Xbox devices, even on PC, and you can get like a clean 60 frames, get like probably the best gameplay experience. On PS2, man, God forbid there are like at least more than 5 or 6 enemies on the screen, and it'll drop to like 15 to 20 frames per second. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, no wonder this game was so hard back then. But and even fighting Riku, yeah, there's a point where you're fighting Dark Riku, and really like back then on PS2, like this, he was like one of the hardest bosses in the game, because of how quick he was and everything like that, and all his different movesets. But it's really because of the frames. It's like Dark Souls 3 on PS.
Yeah,
it's like Dark Souls 3 on PS4. Like you're really the real challenge is because of the damn frame rate more than it's the actual difficulty of the boss. So I was definitely struggling, man. Like in my head, I was like, man, I beat this game on expert. Like, I'm gonna wash him. Like, he's such a lame. I don't care. Like, I know his moveset. That dude washed me like 6 times, man. Like, he absolutely just demolished me. And I was like level 43 or something, level 44. So, yeah, man, it definitely humbled me. I had to rewatch that one scene where Sora learns that Kairi's heart is actually inside of him, so that he has the ability to actually free her. Man, it's 2002. Relax. He's a 14-year-old kid. Relax.
Come on, Walt.
But yeah, so he actually said it's a moment he learns it's like a big revelation like in the story, and
Yeah.
it's also the point where Riku is being essentially what's the word I'm looking for? Um, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yo, Walt is on something today, man. This is
Yeah, I
this is
don't know, man.
crazy.
Y'all kind of, man. Take it easy, man. Take it
Oh,
easy.
jeez.
We've been completely normal, but you, on the other hand, you've been talking about
Yeah.
voice actors, whatever you said about that.
He just
What?
definitely let out like a I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah,
Are
man.
you right?
Yeah.
I got killed.
All right, man.
But any sense, yeah. So like it was the point that story where Riku was really being just he's already given into darkness and Ansem already taken over his body and everything. So it was a big point of the story. I had to rewatch that cutscene like at least 5 or 6 times. So I was just like, I love this moment, but man, let me just beat this boss's ass. Like, come on now. But yeah, so the replay in Kingdom Hearts 1 was absolutely fantastic. It was definitely a great trip down memory lane using R2 and L2 to change the cameras and everything. So
Gross. Oh yeah, and you can't and you can't really and you can't really skip cutscenes, right?
yeah, you can't skip the cutscenes.
Gross.
No. You can't skip the cutscenes. All those convenient game features that we definitely expect nowadays, or they were not in there, obviously. So um,
Yikes.
it was still good fun though. Still a lot of
Good
fun.
stuff.
Nice. Awesome, man. All right, so let's jump into some of these topics, man. We don't have too much this week, but still should be fun nonetheless. Um, let's kind of like, I guess, quickly go over the BAFTA awards. So I don't know if you guys watched it, but I actually do like watching like all the major award shows. I like watching like Dice and BAFTA and the GDC awards. They're just like purely getting to see like the acceptance speeches. I don't know why, but it's something that I've been watching since like 2018. But yeah, so it took place on Thursday. I don't know, you guys saw Shuhei and Herman looking dapper over
Yeah,
there.
man. Yeah, their
Yeah.
prom photos. I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, it happened on Thursday. Obviously we had both Returnal and Ratchet be nominated for a bunch of categories, and they also won like a ton of awards as well. So Ratchet won, I believe, Best Technical and Best Animation. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Returnal was surprisingly like the big winner of the night. They won Best performance in a leading role, Jane Perry as Celine, which was awesome. They also won Best Music, well, I don't know if you actually saw like that moment, like when they were like showing like the nominees for that specific category, and they played the goddamn Hyperion song, the song that you need to play
Ooh.
for that category for Returnal, right?
Yes,
But
sir.
they didn't play like once the actual like song like dropped. Like they play like only the beginning when Hyperion is just starting out on the organ. So I was mad about that. I was like, come on, like let the song go a little bit, man. Like, come on, man.
They blue balled you.
Yeah. So
That was refreshing to actually see that win best music too, because
it,
that
it
was
won
definitely
it won
deserved.
best music at God, I think Dice. I want to say it won best music and best audio design at Dice. It was like back to back awards. It was funny because like the director Harry Kruger and like a couple other people, like they came up there to accept the award for audio design, and then they left the stage. Like they went backstage, and then literally the next award was best music, and they won that too. So they literally came out from backstage again onto the stage to accept the second award, which was pretty funny.
I would love to see it.
But like the thing is, like, hey, like don't let the Game Awards be like the end all be all. Like Returnal and Ratchet as well have been getting like plenty of love from like all like the other like award shows, which is awesome to see. Same thing with like
Yeah, seriously.
Spider-Man in 2018, that like it didn't win anything at the Game Awards, but like at Dice and GDC, like it was winning, other stuff as well. So yeah, so definitely the Game Awards isn't the end all be all. But yeah, so Returnal won best music as well. Um, aside from best game, what was the other one that Returnal won? It was something in like sound design, right?
Au- Audio achievement.
Yeah, it was something like that. So yeah, it won that one, and then obviously the biggest award of the night, Returnal won in best game. Um, which Macho, can
And
you
I
look
also
up?
won music.
Yeah, we got that. Man, were you paying attention? What's going on,
Yeah,
Walt?
I was making sure y'all were on the right audio thing because there's the audio achievement in music.
He's like, make sure y'all on the right thing.
What the hell? we just spent like a minute talking about that. Um,
You capping.
no, you capping, you capping. But Macho, do you know what were the nominees for best game?
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it was Deathloop, Forza Horizon 5, Inscription, It Takes Two, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Okay, cool. So yeah, Returnal took home best game. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see. What were you guys' thoughts seeing that?
I think it's really awesome, and I just want to hit to your point before of like, yeah, Game Awards is not just the only one. It gets the most attention because of all
Yeah,
the announcements
for
and all
sure.
that stuff, but yeah, there's definitely a bunch of like awards shows out there that really highlight these games because if we're looking at that best game list, I just listed off for you guys. There's what, three on there that that we didn't really see much of in the Game Awards, and the one people have been clamoring for, right? Inscription, Forza
Mm-hmm.
Horizon 5. It takes two rather. But that was definitely a good one at the Game Awards. But regardless, like those are like three. Those are two games at least. A lot of people just raved about. We didn't see that much of it at the Game Awards, but they get some love here, which is
Yeah,
really cool. But yeah, I think overall, like just I think the nominees were just really really good. We did see a lot of like repeats, like Deathloop was definitely on there. Obviously, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank, and stuff like that.
yeah,
It Takes Two was definitely a good, big presence there, but it definitely felt like a more. It felt, I don't know, it felt a little more fulfilling just seeing these wins, man.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because there was, it felt like there was actually some like competition. Like, oh, I can definitely see that game being in there and that game being in there. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
really really good nominees.
yeah,
It's not a mainstream like. Uh, it doesn't feel as mass public forward as the Game Awards because the Game Awards is very much okay. What's the most popular thing? That's gonna win. Or what's the most controversial? Oh yeah, that's gonna win. But with but this is just I love that Inscription is like getting more and more love as it should. I've only yet I've only seen some YouTubers play it, some people that I follow. I really it looks so crazy. It looks insane. Like the mind of the creator is insane. Of how many like twists and turns that game has. Like narratively, it's like phenomenal. But I'm so glad to see also Returnal like getting the recognition for its sound design specifically. We've talked about in the podcast just how beautifully it encapsulates the alien nature of the planet you're on and how it really feels like something otherworldly. Um, Again, Annihilation all over again. I love it, man. I love to see all this love and in games that very much some of them were either very early on in the year or very late in the year. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Inscription didn't really get love in Game Awards because it got overshadowed and because it was one of the later ones that they released. Um, but yeah, it's weird that it does feel more personal and a lot more, like you said, Macho, fulfilling to see, specifically seeing Jane Perry like get all this love um and seeing Returnal get all this love in Forza and Toem. Toem is such a cute little game. Um,
Unpacking too. I got a lot of love there.
yeah. And Chicory won, I think, best family as well, which was cool to see. So yeah, a lot
mm,
of a lot of feel good wins. My only thing is again with like a lot of these award shows, like I don't know why, but like Japanese games hardly get nominated for any of these awards, which is always disappointing. Um, so yeah, I don't know why they just like tend to leave out it, unless it's something like absolutely huge. Like obviously, like outside from the Game Awards, but like from DICE and GDC and BAFTA, like they will have Elden Ring in every goddamn award category or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
like you'll never see something like a triangle strategy or like I don't know, like a
Dude, Shin Megami
Nier
Tensei.
or yeah, SMT5 or a Scarlet Nexus or a Neo or something like that. Like yeah, unless it's like
Yeah.
one of the big guns or like a Nintendo title. Just for whatever reason there just really isn't like I don't know if it's just like developers just don't play a lot of Japanese games, right? Because they're the ones who are nominating these things. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
I know, yeah. It definitely just it just sucks. It's not to see that, man.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like Tales of Arise, where like that game and so like it got rave reviews obviously and got a lot of acclaim when it came out. But just like Guardians of the Galaxy, it's at some points it feels like it was a bit overshadowed, or at least it didn't get as much attention as I would like for it to get, just because of what it did. Like Guardians of the Galaxy is absolutely like a game changer for Marvel single player games, especially when it's on the heels of Spider Man, where Spider Man from Insomniac and Miles Morales were so good, and then you have a different flavor of Guardians of the Galaxy that brings in that kind of changed up the game, and then you have Tales of Arise that completely is not reinventing itself, but com- just absolutely taking the foundation and just taking it up 10 times and making it so much better than the last iteration. Like it's absolutely insane the jump in quality. Like I'm really comparing it to the golden era of JRPGs here with Final Fantasy VII Remake, where like you didn't expect that game to have such amazing high quality, and it does. It's the same thing with Tales of Arise. Like it didn't get a lot of love, which makes me sad.
Let me give you one example right here that I had on the tip of my tongue, but I wanted to make sure that I was right on this. In the 2018 DICE Awards, which it's specifically talking about the games that came out in 2017, right? So that was the year that Horizon came out, that Cuphead, Resident Evil 7, Persona 5, Zelda, Mario Odyssey, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, right? Like a near Automata, right? Like an absolutely stacked year, start to finish. Yakuza 0, Gravity Rush
Oh
2.
yeah.
So let me read you the nominees for Outstanding Achievement in Original Music Composition. Cuphead, which yeah, good pick. Call of Duty World War II, Horizon Zero Dawn, Rhyme, Wolfenstein 2, which is an also good pick. But just give me
Wow.
what are some omissions in your mind?
Persona 5.
Near Automata. so so
Yeah, Nier
yeah.
Automata too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty wild. And they had one for art direction too. Persona was not even in that one. So yeah, it's just like blatant omissions yeah, that they I don't know why, man. I don't know why. Um
That's because Persona 5 is so damn long, too.
but
That
even
game is absurdly long.
but even like you play like 10 minutes of that or you just watch the opening cutscene for that game and it's like that should put it in that category like immediately.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, true.
yeah, but
Yeah, no. It's an art style that you wouldn't think would work in a game because it's so flashy and so like in your face, but it just blends so well. It's kind of a miracle, honestly.
yeah, it's dope. But yeah, so that is BAFTA. Also, well, yeah, we talked about the Ratchet wins as well. Yeah, good to see Ratchet getting some love as always.
Especially a technical achievement because that game, yeah, it's definitely one of the most impressive PS5 games this gen
Yeah,
so far.
for sure. But yeah, man. And also, I would have to imagine that like, I mean, just talking about like Housemarque in general, like I'm so happy for them. Like, just thinking about like where they were before Returnal, right? Like even just like in 2020 before they even announced Returnal, like this studio was like legitimately in trouble. Like if you guys remember the whole them coming out and publicly saying releasing this statement that arcade games are dead, right? This is no longer a sort of like an area where they can find like success. Like none of their games were doing particularly well.
Hmm.
Even though their games were quality, right? Like that's undeniable, but like those games weren't finding, like an audience, like at least a big enough audience for them to survive, to keep a studio running. And from that, for them to go from that point to now being recognized on not only BAFTA but like GDC and DICE and even the Game Awards on multiple stages, and getting this sort of like a universal acclaim from their peers. And yeah, I don't know, it's such a cool, like, I don't want to be dramatic and say it's like an underdog story, but nonetheless, man, it's super cool. So
Yeah, I 100% couldn't agree more, man. Because I do remember that article you're talking about, and that was really sad because Resogun was one of my favorite PS4 launch games. Like
yeah,
that game was absolutely immaculate the way it played, and it was so much fun. It was super cool.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so to kind of see them really come to how far, at least come this far in their journey is it's really endearing. Like I said, it's a really good video game development story, like from rags to riches, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's always cool seeing like developers like go up there to like accept it, like their acceptance speeches and whatnot. Clearly, people who have like probably rarely, if ever, have been put in a situation where they're up on stage as accepting an award in front of like all their peers. Um, I don't know. It was just wholesome to see that. And then you also would have to imagine that like Shuhei and Herman being there, like I feel like this. I don't know how true this is, but I feel like this stuff kind of matters to them, right? Like they want that prestige, right? Like they like I don't know. Again, I don't know how true that is, but like I do feel like it is somewhat important to them, that their games are being recognized in this game in this way. So yeah, having Returnal add to that like continued success for them. Um, I think Shuei was definitely smiling. So, but yeah, that's it for the BAFTAs. Unless you guys had anything else you wanted to add.
No, man. Uh, Games are awesome. Let's keep celebrating games. Uh,
Oh
what
yeah,
better way to do it than through awards? That's sometimes the best way to get a lot of people joining in on the fun. So,
Yeah.
uh, pip pip, hooray!
yes.
All right, so let's talk about probably one of the bigger news pieces this week was we had the sort of like State of Unreal live stream earlier in the week. They talked about, I don't know, a bunch of stuff that I didn't listen to, I didn't pay attention to because I wasn't watching it. But one of the big announcements that did come from this live stream was the fact that Crystal Dynamics has confirmed that they are working on the next installment of the Tomb Raider franchise. So what? First of all, before we kind of get into this new one, because I believe we don't have too much in terms of details aside from Jeff Ross is apparently the director of the game.
Hmm.
But yeah, before we kind of get into that and like our kind of wishes for this new installment, what's everyone's sort of familiarity with the new like the reboot trilogy that Crystal started in 2013?
Uh, First one I've played like four times to this point already. I really enjoyed the first one.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this reboot trilogy I am a fan of. Now, all three I've played in different lengths. The first one I beat like four times. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't play it like one after the other. It was more so of, oh, it's been a couple of years. Let me play this game because it's been a while. Played it on PS3 and then on PS4, and then I played it again on PS4 Pro right before that PS5. Um, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I don't believe I got all the way through. I don't know why. There was a plethora of games back when I was playing it, so I got distracted by other games. Did enjoy it though. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I'd say it's the only one where I've played maybe like 3 hours of, and I didn't stop because I did not enjoy it. It again was because there was so many other games coming out, and this one was out already for such a long time. I was more interested in the newer games that were coming out. Not to say Shadow Tomb Raider was bad. I just got distracted. But I've I have a friend that she's talked to me about Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and very much y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. This is the game where she very much acquires that title of, okay, like a tried and true like Tomb Raider, like the Lara Croft that we know from way before the reboot, I think. Like she
Man,
becomes the legend that she's supposed to be or whatever.
I,
You sound a little crackly, by the way, Walt.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Let me get a second.
I don't know how you feel about that, Macho, but I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened in Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Uh, so I mean, I played Tomb Raider for I played Tomb Raider for like the longest time, and I used to play Tomb Raider Legends on PSP. Like so I am familiar with the franchise and what it is, and before even Uncharted came and all that kind of stuff. So I really like the entire franchise as a whole. I think Lara Croft is absolutely badass. I was there for Angelina Jolie, by the way, so I was in that camp. Like, yeah, Angelina Jolie's the best Lara Croft. But regardless, I did play the reboot and absolutely loved it, man. It actually came out on my birthday, the same year that it came out. So it was even more of a special treat, just of the game itself in my game history, and it's a lot of fun. I played it on PS3, replayed it on PS4. I actually have the trilogy on PC because Epic was giving it away. So I got that. I can actually boot up if I ever want to replay it. But yeah, it's a great game. I loved it. I love the kind of grittiness of it. I love the survivability factor to it all. I thought it was really unique and it's a lot of fun. I wish it kind of continued into the next two games. I haven't played the third one because I was just really kind of done with the trilogy at that point. Because from what I've heard, it was really focusing more on Laura's bow and arrow kind of combat style, which is something that I was really hoping that would kind of lean more away from, especially at the end of the first game, where you have like that tease of her dual wielding the pistols, like you see from the original series. So, and when I learned that they weren't really doing that, I played the second game and didn't really do that at all. That I can remember. I was at that point, I was like, okay, like I kind of just want like classic Tomb Raider, so I guess I'll just go play the classic Tomb Raider games, which I did. I went to go play the Anniversary Edition. It was a lot of fun. But from this one, the fact that Crystal Dynamics is working on one and it's going to be an Unreal Engine 5, obviously it's going to be gorgeous. My biggest question was whether it was going to be a reboot or a sequel, but I mean, that's kind of where I am on the original trilogy. Just I played the first one, played the second one, enjoyed it for what it was, wasn't really crazy about it, and just skipped on the third one. But the fact that I have it on PC now makes me more enticed to actually go back and play it once we get closer to this new one.
Yeah. For me, I only played Shadow because it was new on, or it was free on PlayStation Plus in, I want to say January 2021, maybe. So yeah, that's really I think that's probably the first and only Tomb Raider game that I've ever played. And it was not a good entry point.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys.
Damn.
I don't know if you guys remember. I was I was giving that game the work back then on the podcast.
I remember you did not really like that game.
Yeah,
but
I did
It's
not.
also because you started with that game.
But also not just because, not like even like narrative wise, like yeah, it's not the classic thing of like, oh, like being dropped at the end of the trilogy and just being lost, but just like the characters in general. Jonah, who the fuck cares about Jonah, right? Like like everything about that game, like the villain, Trinity, the flashback sequences with Laura and her father. Like I felt absolutely nothing about that game, man. That's why like in the beginning of this segment I was like, Macho, I couldn't tell you anything about that game, because like anything specific about that story, because like I just didn't care about anything that was going on. And again, like maybe if I played the first two, that would be different, but like still, like a game has to like
I'll tell you right now, no.
No,
yeah,
not
that's what I'm
really.
saying. Like
Shadow just improves upon the other two. So if that didn't click with you, no.
yeah.
And here's the thing: it improved on certain like
The first is still
technical quality.
The first is still worth playing though.
Oh, the first one is fantastic. It's such a great entry point and such a great beginning to a trilogy. my big thing with this upcoming one, whatever the case it may be with it, I I would like to see continue a continuation of this already built Lara Croft and not give us something else from scratch
Yeah,
because
I hope they don't do that.
because this Lara Croft has very much seen a lot of trials and has been through so much already. I am interested in her and how she develops that confidence and how she develops that just tenacity and how she, she overcomes everything. I don't care too much about, what her like relationship with her dad was or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, she is for me, Lara Croft. This Lara Croft is an interesting protagonist and character that they can explore way more than they have already. So with Unreal Engine, man, oh my goodness, like she's one of the most gorgeous protagonists ever. Imagine how she's gonna look in Unreal, beautiful, like that. And she may even have a change, like Claire.
She may even have
She
a
may look
change. What?
no like Claire. Claire changed from Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 2 remake. She like physically is a different person. Maybe they'll do
Okay.
someone like an actual person with Lara Croft. Where was your mind at?
No, I just generally did not know what you meant by that. I needed
Oh, okay.
clarification. I needed
Yeah,
clarification.
yeah. So
You
like
want
a
to know if you were thinking about pointy boobies or regular boobies? That's what
oh,
he's
true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. The polygons, man.
the
Uh,
polygons, the triangles.
the triangles, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, man.
I hope. Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I hope that they don't do another reboot. That would be insane.
Hmm.
That would be just
That
like
would be
that
insane.
would be the definition of insanity to me. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. I will say that like yeah, it's a good thing that Crystal is helming the development of this instead of Eidos. Um, so I think that's definitely a positive. Um, but yeah, man, like I don't know, man. I don't know what they can do in terms of like story wise. I did like some of the gameplay was pretty cool. Like I actually like the puzzle solving.
Hmm.
I'm a fan of like bow and arrow combat in all games, so like that wasn't a big deal to me. Um, I thought some of the like hunter kind of like gameplay that they're really sort of like hanging their hat on for Shadow specifically of like, oh, Laura can cover herself in mud or she could like strike from the trees and hang people and stuff like that. Like I thought that stuff was like it was pretty cool. It was all right. Um, but yeah, I'm curious to see where else they can kind of take her gameplay because I feel like Tomb Raider has the potential to have like more interesting sort of like there's more flexibility in terms of like what you could possibly do with like the Tomb Raider instead of like something like Uncharted. I don't know if you guys like agree with that. Um at least like in Shadow alone, there was like I felt like I had more options than I like I guess ever did with Uncharted. Maybe I'm alone in that thinking, but yeah, I don't know. Like I hope that they continue down that road of like I don't know, making Laura just like this ultimate like absolute like killer who can do like all these different things like stealthily and just like guns blazing and stuff like that. But yeah, in terms of like excitement, where are you guys at with like a new Tomb Raider? Is this something that you're like absolutely clamoring for? Like, is does it feel like it's time for a new Tomb Raider for Tomb Raider to come back, or like where are you guys at right now?
Yeah,
I def
personally, yeah, I think so.
yeah, I definitely feel like she does deserve more love than she has received. Uh, and the franchise as a whole, I do think that it's been the kind of franchise where it's like it's existed. Like like the trilogy existed and it was praised, but I don't think it was
Definitely the last
as
one.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's a weird last one where they left off at, and it being like the where she actually picks up, like like you said, Macho, like at the end they tease like the dual wielding and all that. Like, give us that, Laura. Give us like a really badass like pretend like very much to the same vein of like Samus Aran and how she doesn't even have to talk to be cool. Yeah, man. I am looking forward to it. I'm not excited particularly, but I am looking forward to what they do with Unreal Engine and how this Tomb Raider is gonna look. and do more tomb raiding. I really, like you said, so I love the puzzle solving. I love the different, just insane amount of tombs that they can come up with, and different types of ways that you can solve them. Um, Give me more of that. I love like very. I love it where if they had these puzzles and tombs that they were just like when you complete a Mario game and you unlock the secret levels, like the ultra hard levels, like have that like area in
Yeah,
like a
that'd be cool.
Tomb Raider game
Or like just like
where
the secret tombs in Assassin's Creed 2. That would be cool.
yeah, you have these just you can't unlock them until you acquire this one item that you only acquire by the end of the game because it's so extremely like difficult and ridiculous. Like or like oh my god, I don't know if much of you played it, but Final Fantasy 15, there was this one area that you could get this item, or it was a black cloak that made you auto dodge, and it was a
Yeah, I do
platforming
remember that.
area. Oh my god, dude, that's horrible experiences I've had in a video game because it's so difficult. Because Final Fantasy 15 has no good it's not a platforming game. It's like Elden Ring. It's not a platforming game, but they give you platforming areas. So I feel like Tomb Raider it has great potential for actual platforming like sections like that.
The last thing I'll say on this, and we can move on, is that like I
Mm.
am, if it is like, okay, because I just thought about this because now I'm a little shaky on if this should be a continuation at all because like where they left off on Shadow, like Laura is basically like a sun god or something like that. So it leaves off in a really like weird place. That is one thing I do remember. But yeah, now I'm kind of like, where the fuck do you take that franchise after that? After
She's
ending,
a sun god.
yeah, yeah, it's really weird.
What is she, Luffy?
No, no, not
God.
like that. But yeah, she's like
Oh, okay.
revered as like this god essentially. Like it gets really like supernatural at the end of that game. It's really
She is
odd.
kind of a goddess, though.
Not in that way, man. Come on, man. Um,
Why? She's
but
awesome.
but yeah, like yeah, it gets really super. And I know like previous titles have gotten sort of like supernatural and like there's been dinosaurs and shit like that. But like
Yeah.
Shadow specifically gets really really out there. Um,
More
but
than dinosaurs?
oh yeah, yeah. There's like a
Sheesh.
secret underground civilization of like golem people. It's
What?
weird. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why I'm on the fence of like new generation, new Lara Croft, new everything, and I'm okay with that. But if they do want to go with the
Right.
Lara Croft that they've been building, like all last generation, like I'm fine with that too because I like that Lara Croft. I think she's cool, and from her experience in the first game to what she becomes and throughout the trilogy, I think is really really cool, and it'd be nice to see like an evolution of that character where she is a Tomb Raider that at least I grew up with, right? That was a real combat veteran, and she knew what she was doing, and she was a full on treasure hunter. Like it was really exciting to kind of like be that Lara Croft, and even with the technical setbacks from the previous generations, it was still like a lot of fun, and they definitely set the foundation for like other treasure hunting games and stuff like that. And I would love to kind of see that revitalized because to Soul's point, where like the puzzles and the treasure hunting was really refined and fun. It was the same thing I felt with the second game. I think it was Rise of the Tomb Raider. Was
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that game was its dungeons were a lot of fun and they were very intricate and it definitely had that classic feel while having some survivability factors that carried from the first game. So I would kind of like to see that in like a in their Lara Croft they have now, but for the new generation, and just really kind of honing in on like the treasure hunting aspect and the fact that she's a dual wielder. I really want that kind of iconic Lara Croft back.
yeah.
But I'll be okay if they do like a reboot too, because I think it'd be really interesting to see where they want to go for it with there,
Mm-hmm.
and really like kind of hone in like what kind of Lara Croft they want to build for this generation. Now that the Lara Croft of last generation, it's kind of not really put like a pin to her story, but more or less like it kind of went a really weird direction. And I don't even think like the Crystal Dynamics worked on the third game, right? It was Eidos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like if they were gonna do like another Lara Croft game, I can see either way if like if they want to go back to her now. Because it's the same situation with what Arkham Origins, where Rocksteady didn't do that game, and that game is really kind of like not a black sheep, but it's definitely not regarded like in the Arkham series. It's essentially like they always say like the Arkham trilogy. They never really touch on Origins. So I have a feeling that's kind of the same thing with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where like you have Rise and then you have the regular Tomb Raider, but Shadow of the Tomb Raider, yeah, it's kind of for the trilogy, but it's also not because same developers didn't really work on it, so it doesn't feel as true. Kind of like what we were talking about with Dark Souls 2, you know.
Yep. Yeah, maybe they. I would also not be opposed to the idea that they jump from Rise of the Tomb Raider and on. Maybe they do a direct continuation from that, and they just forget all the supernatural stuff.
Just kind of leave Jonah behind, and then we'll be good, man. There's no need, there's no place for that simp on where we're going in the future, man. So yeah, man,
Damn.
that is Tomb Raider. Another sort of like old franchise, if you will, is coming back from the dead, and that is Max Payne, man. What's Remedy, man? They're working on like goddamn like 4 projects right now. I feel like,
Yep.
I mean, they
They're
just
working
got
on a
one out the
lot.
door with Crossfire, but still, like their plate is full. But anyway, they announced that they're working in a sort of like partnership with Rockstar, where Rockstar is actually funding this project. But they announced that they are working on a full remake of Max Payne 1 and 2, The Fall of Max Payne. So yeah, what's I guess sort of like same like introductory question as we did for the last topic. Like, what's everyone's familiarity with Max Payne, and are you guys excited for this?
I have no familiarity with Max Payne. I can't really add to this conversation. So, but the fact that they're working on a remake and it's they're gonna it's Remedy, so they're gonna do all the bells and whistles. It'll be interesting to see what they do because it's a lot more action movie heavy than it is from the stuff we have. What's more like supernatural, creepy era of like Control and Alan Wake and stuff like that. So, and
Bullet time.
we won't even talk about Crossfire X, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do with it. And the fact that Rockstar is publishing it, thank God y'all are using your money for something other than GTA. That's all I'll say about that.
They're using the GTA money for that.
Yeah, I know, right? So,
Yeah,
What
man.
about you,
I've
Walt?
only played Max Payne 3, and I hear that if you play 1 and 2, 3 kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth, which I guess explains why I enjoyed 3. I enjoyed Max Payne 3. I like the very action heavy set pieces they had, the bullet time, the very corny, sometimes cheesy just dialogue. It very much just like Michael Bay the game. Uh, I love it. It's a lot of fun. I have no idea what 1 and 2 are about, what the story is, what the praise is for, what people remember them for. So I'm looking forward to finding out more about it. I have no idea. It very much is the case of if someone heard that Space is being remade and they're like, "Oh, I only played 3." It's like, oh, okay, then you have no idea like what this is about because they're so different. Uh, but yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it, and it seems like the stars are aligning. Like it'll be a positive thing so far with how the funding is going and like Remedy being involved and Remedy like because sometimes you have these remakes and being made by other studios. It's nice to see like Remedy actually dipping into the actual remake. So we'll see, man. Definitely looking forward as well. Not excited, looking forward to it.
Yeah. This might be the shortest topic ever because I also have never played a Max Payne game. So
There you
yeah,
go. Then y'all aren't even qualified to be here.
I guess so.
Yeah, man.
damn.
So I got nothing else. I got nothing else to add. So you guys, yeah, man, you guys did the Lord's work right there.
Amen.
So yeah, I guess purely based off the fact that it's Remedy, and I'll always be interested in whatever Remedy's doing.
sir.
I'll at least give it a look, but until then, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, I'm way more excited for Alan Wake 2 than anything from them.
True.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
and possibly Control 2 as well, even though I haven't really like delved into like the side stuff on that game. Yeah, that left a really strong impression when I replayed it or I played it and beat it on PS5. So
Yeah, because you weren't crazy about it at the beginning, but then you gave it another shot, right?
yeah, I tried it when it came to PS Now and PS4, and it just wasn't hitting for me. But the DualSense features absolutely just made me push through the game on to kind of really play it and to get like the different feedback from the controller on each different weapon, and it was just a trip. And then like the last like part, like, the last couple levels of that game are really miraculous too. Like it's really cool what they did, especially the topsy turvy rooms that just keep shifting everything. Like that was such a cool moment.
You should try the cloud version on Switch.
Yeah, right. Man, yeah, if I'm not willing to try Kingdom Hearts Cloud on Switch, then I'm not
You
doing
ain't gotta
anything
try
else.
that.
Yeah, there's no way in the world. No way.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that's not my man. Controls, man. I kind of want to like I don't know. There's certain games that you get like the urge to replay. Controls one of them. Like I sometimes I have the urge to like go back and replay it.
Yeah, we'll see if the same with Max Payne. Yeah, I'm not really like too familiar with it. I think it's really kind of like one of those games that seems like it's like from a branch of the Punisher or something that could be from the Punisher. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So that's probably why it connects with a lot of
true.
people. But it was also a PS2 game, so I can imagine like it's gonna hit a lot of notes for some people that when they
Oh,
replay it.
absolutely. PS2,
Bro, Ar-
high selling console ever.
Arkham City is pissing me the hell off, man.
Oh
What's going
man.
on? I'm not
Look
really
at
watching. So I'm
look
trying
look
to
at
farm in
this look at
Bloodborne.
this goddamn thing that it has me doing. I have to figure out this like where this puzzle like aligns on the map or something like that. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and it won't let me quit out of here. Won't let me press the start button. Like I'm stuck here until I figure it out.
So you better look it
Damn.
up real quick. We can change topics if you want.
Oh man. Uh,
How long can we talk about Max Payne? Hurry.
I'm out. I'm out. So yeah, we. I mean, that's really like the last topic. What else did you guys want to talk about?
I know Macho had a topic, but I don't know if he wants to talk about it.
I mean, we can.
It, it,
It's a very divisive topic, and
it is.
it's something I was kind of hesitating on even bringing up, but
Yeah, but
um,
you don't even have to. I mean, people don't know yet, so we can like substitute it, and people will never know what it was.
no, no, it's fun. But I think it's interesting because me and Soul have a really interesting perspective on this, right?
Hmm.
So I guess we can just talk about it since we're kind of just mulling it over anyway. Yeah, so IGN came out on Twitter, and I believe it was the senior editor, Kat Bailey, I want to say her name is. They
Hmm.
basically basically posted up like a job posting tweet around the again I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the actual tweet in front of me, but it's basically saying that they're opening up to freelancers, which they always have. They always took in freelancers, but they're offering up to them, and the base rate for articles will be $20 per article written. And then she went on to in a different tweet that actually said like, hey, well, we also have different rates for based on the kind of article you're writing. So a long form article is something that requires a lot of research, reaching out to people, stuff like that. That can be upwards of up to $300 or more, which I have seen before in freelance rates, so that's pretty normal. And other stuff can be like close to, I think it was like $50 based on like what kind of article you're doing. So like, but a lot of people are harping on the fact that IGN freelancers were getting paid $20 per article, and a lot of people that had no idea what they're talking about had a lot to say, because
It's
a lot of people were saying like,
a
"Oh my
reality
god!" Like
check.
they're making,
It's a
yeah,
reality check for them, man.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, Soul, you and I have done freelance stuff. I don't know if you've done paid freelance stuff, but I have, and I'll just say right now that $20 per shitty article, and we're not talking about like a guide or anything like that, right? Which like that's a whole different ball game in itself. That's super underpaid, but a shitty article, and my quotes, what I call them, is basically like, here is a Sonic 2 trailer. That's your headline, right? You're using SEO to build up what people are searching in Google, and then it's a quick hit article that's probably more likely less than 300 words, which is nothing for a freelance writer. And they're just putting it out there and just saying like, new Sonic trailer just came out, blah 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 blah, and then here's a links to other Sonic stuff that we have written up or whatever. Really basic stuff that could take you like less than a half hour. or even close to an hour, depending on what kind of writer you are. But yeah, that's around $20. And in my line of field, man, for the companies that I've written for and freelance for, that's not bad. And that's really saying something, considering a lot of people are harping on that. Like, that's nothing. Like, yeah, that's absolutely, like, in grand scope of things, like, you would have to bust out at least 5 articles to grind them out just to get 100 in a day, maybe 10 articles per day, which is exhausting, just to get $200. And then that's like, what, if you do that 5 days a week, you get like what, like close to 2,000 every month, which is probably your rent, right? Depending on where you live. So like, yeah, so the freelance way is hard, and it's overall it's actually pretty grueling and absolutely demanding and grinding, but some people choose that and that's what they like. But it just goes back to the fact that these rates are just really, really hard, and it's kind of unacceptable in a lot of ways. And trust me when I say that IGN, what they're paying for, it's some people would be jumping on that train because a lot of other sites pay so much less. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
I told you guys how much I was making before.
Yeah, there's some sites I know that have been doing like $5 an article.
Yep.
Yes.
Yikes.
Yeah, plenty places that I've seen on LinkedIn and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope that this definitely is a reality check for those people. I mean, we had that thing that happened like a few months ago or whatever, that he who shall not be named, that one journalist saying, editors in their ivory towers or whatever, and then that just really
I do remember that.
yeah, that just only sort of further perpetuates that, journalists apparently are rich and they make so much money and stuff like that. Like, he helped to like further that narrative, and I hope that this coming out really dispels that and shows people that, hey, like, journalists, they don't, I mean, really, in no matter what form of media they're covering, like, they don't make anything, man.
Especially freelancers.
To that point, prior to that comment, where can you see this misconception? Where can you misunderstand something of being a journalist being this rich? Like, where is that gathered? Where can people see that? Like, what?
Idiots. It's just idiots on Twitter, fanboys who, cry out media bias and who think that, like,
because they get games for free that they don't have to spend anything.
No, it's crazy.
And they think that their job is easy because they're playing games and whatnot.
No, God, it's fascinating that there's a Tony Polanco. I've seen tweets where he very much expresses his frustration for this and how he says, like, yeah, I get games, but I barely have time to play them because he's just always so busy with the writing and with the reviewing, with all this. He mainly covers like tech writing, and like sourcing and whatnot. But it very much is the case where, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're getting games, but they're not. Your job, you still have to put out something. You have to create. It's like a streamer. It's like, oh, you just sit here and play games, and it's like, yeah, market yourself. Like, that's like, you have to market yourself. You have to do all this extra stuff and behind the scenes. It's like a movie. Oh my God.
But to that point, actually, the effort of being a streamer and a YouTuber obviously has a lot more of the quality, not equality, but like the output of what you put into a stream and your YouTube stuff, depending on your following, your engagement, obviously outweighs the amount that a freelancer or a writer would do. That's why we see so many of these writers just jump onto the YouTube train and do Patreon or something, because the output of their income is probably way more.
100%, because it's them. Because they're not depending on anyone. I mean, they're depending on YouTube, but they have Patreon. They have more control over what they're doing. But to that point, it's this preconceived notion of, oh, the output it looks so effortless, therefore it's effortless. Like, that's such a weirdo way of seeing things. With freelance, with anything, it's like when people growing up, and this is everywhere, y'all. Like, in school, if you had a new pair of shoes, someone be like, "Oh my God, you're made out of money." It's like, bitch, like, you know how much like my parents have had to work for like get me like in middle school like these pair of shoes. Like they'd never see the work that's behind, you know, the cheddar that you're trying to acquire. So it's like it's
Yeah.
insane. It's insane how again these people are probably more miserable than us. They're projecting. They're being weirdos. So I'm not worried, but it gets frustrating when it's just a cesspool of just nonstop maggots
No, that's
on
why
the
I was
internet.
saying before, it's like it's these people that just have no idea what they're talking about because of how
Hmm.
it actually flows, and someone that actually has been kind of not even dipping my toes. I've really been kind of on this freelance train for like 4 or 5 years, probably a little more. Thankfully, I had a full time job, so I didn't really have to rely on that and rely on that kind of grind and reaching out to people like that. But I have delved into it just for like the extra income stuff like that, and it's exhausting, man. It's really
Hmm.
exhausting. So I like shout out to freelance to actually do that and have so many bylines everywhere and just grind it out because it's not easy. It's very very competitive, and when it comes to IGN, they're like the Disney of entertainment media. So
For sure.
you would think that having that on your resume would be like so amazing and because you work for one of the biggest ones, but sometimes it's really not. Sometimes you really just don't
Hmm.
care, because again they look back at your resume and they look back how many articles you busted out. You say you busted out like 300 articles in a year or half a year, whatever. That's great, but like look at the content. Look at those 300 articles you worked on. Look at the Last of Us 2 trailer. Look at this. Look at that. Like a whole bunch of like really the kind of like mindless, what I call quote unquote shitty articles that take you like less than like half hour to do. So
That's why you have people like Alana Pierce or Liana Rupert, where they're writers for such a long time, but they finally get they reach this home, this company that actually supports them. Liana with Bungie and Alana with Santa Monica, and all those years of writing, it paid off. But that's something that not everyone will reach because the road to it is very much something that is so, like y'all mentioned, grueling and so frustrating because it feels like you're not being compensated the way you should. And to that point, if people say, "Oh, that's low," because there's sites that pay 6, pay 5, it's like, okay, then this is not a conversation about, "Oh, I get paid less, haha, look at me." No, it's a conversation of, okay, then there needs to be something about this. There needs something done about this. Like demand more pay. Like you have the right as a worker, but it's not always that peaches and cream.
As
I
long
get.
as sort of like game journalism still revolves around SEO rather than like I don't know, I guess
Hmm.
like quality or whatever. But yeah,
Quality articles. Yeah,
as long as it still relies on SEO, then this will continue to happen. Just like
yeah,
point blank period.
yeah,
yeah.
well,
That's
100%, and
true. That's
that's
true.
and again we have that experience where it's absolutely 100% all about the SEO or writing like just they have topics that you don't so like we talked before you and I don't give a shit about, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like
I'm not
what
gonna
Henry Cavill said on Instagram, like let's write that article. Like it doesn't matter because SEO.
like I'm not gonna name names because I don't want to burn any potential bridges. But that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why I kind of like stepped away from like freelance writing like altogether.
Same,
It's just like
same.
Yeah.
it's just not worth it, especially like all the specifics and the hoops that you have to jump through for getting an article out in the specific way that some of these sites want you to get it out.
Yep.
Especially me being a slow writer and they want these done in kind of like quick succession and they want like 30 a month and doing it all 20 per article, like it's just not worth it.
It's
Especially
not.
especially like one of the benefits of being at like lognet or PlayStation Bros or level 1 is you getting to choose what you want to write about. Not only that, but being about whatever excites you, right? That's an advantage.
Amen.
That's a rarity. That's not something that all these other sites allow you to do. More often than not, you're going to be writing about things that you don't care about. And that's specifically one of the reasons why I stopped doing it altogether, because I don't want to be placed in a position where I'm writing about things that I don't care about. Otherwise,
Mm.
it kind of takes away the fun out of it for me.
Which to that point, I saw. I don't know if it was Masha that shared it or someone shared it on Twitter. It was an article that was where to watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie,
Yeah,
and
I think I retweeted that.
Yeah, the one someone quote tweeted that and said, "In the theaters, I saved you a click."
Yeah.
It's like you have these articles that very much, and I've seen them. Yo, I've fallen victim to reading these where it's like, um, how do you reach this part of the game? And it's like, okay, how do you reach this? You can't. But here's the thing, why? It's like, dude, I don't care why. Just tell me if you can. Like, this shouldn't even exist if you never can. Yeah, it sucks, man. Because then you fall into, at least us three here. We very much are responsible consumers of media and information on the internet. So it sucks when it's over, it's flooded with all these just garbage. But unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's the game, I guess.
Well, the thing is about that article in particular, like the way they can spin that is that, well, a lot of people are probably searching on Google how to watch Sonic 2 because is it in theaters, is it on streaming, can I buy the DVD, whatever case may be. So they probably looked at their analytics and
Yeah.
were like, well, people are really wondering where they can watch this thing, so that's actually put up an article of where they can watch it. You know,
Oh,
so
well,
that's
people are
probably where
really
it stemmed
capping.
from.
We need to help them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's kind of like guides 101, right? Like I put
Yeah,
up a
yeah.
guide of Genshin Impact of how to, I think it was like how to level up the goddess statues or something like that.
Hmm.
It's literally the most simple shit ever, but it has one of
Yeah.
the most views
SEO
on
farming.
Lognet.
Yeah.
Well, because like I was like, some people are probably wondering like they probably have no idea how to do this, or they
Right.
it's one of the first things they teach you like in the first like hour of the game, not even.
But
But
people don't read, and
yeah.
this is something that I was taught in my previous job. How, listen, people won't read, so they're gonna call about the dumbest stuff ever. And sometimes you're just like, yeah, you just gotta click this, and they're like, okay, thank you. And you're like, okay, wow, like it's incredible how school traumatized so many people that they just deny their ability to read. But here we are, yo.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Interesting conversation though. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it sparked a lot of debate for sure this week.
Yeah,
yeah, and
people are eating each
I
other.
hope no one's like going after Kat Bailey. She's like super cool, man. I love her. But yeah,
Yeah, like
um,
don't go like after people for like things that really are not
her fault. Like
like their
don't
fault.
shoot the messenger, man. Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I see a lot more people really kind of taking up in arms with IGN itself, of just not paying, of being the biggest one out there, not paying their
Right.
freelancers. But
Yeah. Okay.
again, you have to really understand the process of where that all is to make any sort of demands of sorts, you know. But
Yeah.
and I think if anything, it probably humbled these people to not be such assholes to like these writers are just the messengers, right?
I doubt
So
it, but let's hope.
no, yeah, 100% I doubt it too, but you would hope. But
But okay. So I guess that's going to do it for the podcast this week. I want to thank everyone for watching. We're gonna get started with these outros. Macho, why don't you kick things off for us?
yes, sir, yes, sir. Oh man, what are we doing this week? What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. You want to throw some hands, boy?
It's this week, fellas, is Legend of Heroes Treasure in the Sky. I'm gonna see if I can actually beat that before the new patch for Endwalker comes out. And Walt, you need to play that game, man. I want to talk about the spoilers with you. I need to
Yeah,
dive into these
man. It
characters
keeps
and the
growing.
music. I know
The
it
game
does.
keeps
It does.
growing, and I'm
They
just
keep
like, ah.
they keep playing, keep playing.
I
But
gotta keep playing.
But I'm so excited to actually dive into that next week and try and finish Legend of Heroes Treasure in the Sky. Really enjoying that JRPG fix. And this Sunday, I'm actually seeing my nephew. After a couple months, I'm really excited to have like a family dinner with everybody. It's going to be fun, and just going to enjoy the entire, enjoy the gaming drought that we have, man. I'm actually getting to the backlog. The next big releases for me are I would say DNF Duel, really, at the end of June, or really the Quarry, maybe the Quarry, but we'll see how that
Ooh.
goes. But yeah, man. Also, real quick, did you guys actually see that Cyberpunk was $5 at Best Buy
That's crazy.
the other day?
That's
No,
crazy.
It was a
Jesus
deal of the
fuck,
day.
man.
It was $5, so I ended up getting a copy.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay. Are you
plus
guys gonna
6.
play it?
plus 6. No, probably not. Probably
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Grand opening, grand closing.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna let some lucky customer at G Stop maybe maybe do the thing. So we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Giveaway.
Yeah. True. Giveaway for credit. Yeah, for sure.
Was
but
it
yes.
was it in a PS5 box or still PS4?
Nah, still PS4. Still
Yeah.
PS4. There's
No, they haven't done
CD Projekt is doing everything they can to get to sell their copies in their warehouse, dude. They're doing everything they can.
Wouldn't it be crazy if because we're hearing rumors of like acquisitions and like some pretty big ones from PlayStation specifically. Wouldn't it be crazy if PlayStation acquired CDPR?
Would you actually be happy about that?
I mean for Witcher, yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. And like I'll
Not
still
for Cyberpunk?
I don't know because like as I'm kind of like having like a post-mortem for Cyberpunk, like obviously like I love that game.
Post-mortem, he says.
Like obviously yeah, like I adore that game, but like this is actually something I was gonna ask you guys when I like first like finished the game, was that like as I started thinking about that game more and more, like there's nothing that pisses me off more than like games that like are trying to be like everything, but like they don't know exactly like what they want to be. So like what I mean by that specifically is like Cyberpunk touts itself as an RPG, but it is so bare bones in that regard. Like it has all the makings, like it has the dialogue options, it has the damage numbers and perks and skill points and like all that stuff, but it's just like it's I don't know, it's all fake, right? It's all like what is it, like
Smoke and mirrors.
a
Smoke and
mile
mirrors.
long and like an inch deep or whatever that saying is. It's literally the definition of that. So like yeah, I don't know. I hate games like that where yeah, it's touting that it is this one thing, but it's like it really isn't. So yeah, I mean I don't know. To answer your question, like obviously for purely based off of the fact of The Witcher, and like they are like skilled developers. Like I know people like once Cyberpunk came out, like everyone just like threw CDPR in the bin and was just like they're trash. But like obviously like in terms of like storytelling, like they are still there. They're still pretty damn good at that regard. But yeah, I don't know. I think it would be a
Yeah,
pretty
that's the
big.
one reason I was actually thinking about keeping one of the copies that I ended up buying, just to kind of experience that. But I was actually talking about it with a coworker, and she was like, "Yeah, I couldn't really get more than 2 hours into it." I was like, "Yeah, I played for an hour, and it felt like I was playing for like 4," and that's always like a bad sign for me about whenever I play a game. So
Yeah. Yeah, fair. Totally fair. But yeah, so but regardless, it would be pretty funny if that happened,
yeah,
given the whole thing about CPR throwing Sony under the bus and saying, "Oh, go to them for your refunds," and Sony
that
pulling the
would be
game
actually
off the
pretty
store.
funny.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. But yeah, Walt, what about you, man? What do you got planned this week?
Gonna be playing some Tiny Tina and some.
Yes, I beat the Bloodstar Beast. Holy
Jesus
shit!
fuck,
my
man,
God.
this game.
Jesus Christ!
Sorry.
Oh my
Sorry.
God!
I've been I've been trying to beat the Bloodstar Beast this entire time and just grinding, but he's such a bitch because his poison thing. Sorry.
Aside from recovering from that heart attack, I'll be playing some Tiny Tina and some
Sorry.
Horizon as well. Finally gonna jump back into that, man. Really want to get through that story. And honestly, not much else. Before bed every night I'm playing a little bit of Triangle Strategy, so I'll be doing that. But yeah, man, aside from that, nothing else. It's gonna be a lull period, so just gonna get through my backlog.
Nice, nice. Yeah, as for me, honestly, I think I'm gonna put down Arkham City for a while, man. This game is fucking pissing me off.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm mad. I need a break. Honestly, aside from I guess I'll just start going back to Forbidden West. I guess.
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
Join me
man.
in returning.
I don't know. I honestly like. it's weird because like after watching that Dark Souls retrospective, like I'm kind of getting the itch to not even necessarily like I don't want to play Dark Souls 1. I don't want to play it. Like I don't
play
want
the goddamn DLC.
I don't want to play it. And I don't want to play Dark Souls 2 either. Despite how
play
I know
Sekiro.
exactly how you
Sekiro.
feel. I know exactly how you feel. So because I was like, man, I'm on my Dark Souls binge right now. I want to do it. I look at games for Dark Souls 1 and 2. I'm like, nope.
Well, bro, play Sekiro. I don't play Sekiro.
and I don't want to play Sekiro. I don't want to.
No,
Oh my God,
Sekiro,
you're-
are you kidding me? Sekiro will piss him off even more, dude. That game is harder than any Souls game.
You're like Spider-Man, like strong enough to have it all, too weak to take it. Oh, goddamn.
No, Sekiro is Soul will break his feelings.
No, god damn it, this fucking
Man.
game.
Y'all need to play some real games.
Hey man, who do you think you're talking to, man?
To the connoisseur of anime waifus, Hezu.
Hey man,
Mr. I'll play Village.
the man who survived Cyberpunk 2077. That's who.
Oh man, you're a survivor.
Why don't you just delve into Elden Ring if you're
That's what I was gonna say was that
Yes, sir.
lucky enough for me, a brand new Souls game did just release, so I might have to get into that a little bit sooner than I anticipated, especially since it looks like we're gonna be in a lull period. So yeah, I got the Souls fix, and it didn't even take me playing Elden Ring for that to happen, which is funny. So yeah. I guess
Yeah.
maybe not within this.
You can
week.
actually go with. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say maybe not within this week, but yeah, I think sooner rather than later. I do want to get into Elden Ring now.
Yeah, go for it. I was gonna say that I think GameStop and Amazon have like a buy two get one free sale. So if there's another 2 games that you were thinking about getting, you can go with that and get Elden Ring 2 and get like 2 games for, or 3 games for the price of 2.
Yeah, I'll look into that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Well, I finished my first week of school. That was fun.
Hey man, congrats. How was it? You like it?
Yeah, it was fun, man. It's really fun.
Love it, man.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Let's hope that this next week in gaming is a little bit more eventful. You know, heaven forbid that we have to talk about something like Max Payne and Tomb Raider again. Please God, don't let that happen to us again. But yeah, man, let's hope that something big happens. You know what's interesting, when like I was watching the BAFTAs and they had the studio had like Media Molecule was up there, and I'm sure you guys saw the picture that Herman was at Media Molecule visiting the team. But also like
He's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What's going on?
Hey man, he was having fun. He was also at the MP Awards too. He was like a special guest there as well. So on serious though, it's cool seeing him like support that team and being there and whatnot. But like in the BAFTA crowd, like in the front row, was some of like the studio heads of Sony London, and that just like reminded me like, oh yeah, like Sony London is fucking working on a big PS5 project as well. So like, yeah, I don't know. It's just exciting that there's like more so than ever. I feel like there's a lot coming from PlayStation Studios. So like, yeah, just having that like I totally forgot about them. Right? I was like, oh yeah, they're doing something too. So yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully we get a PlayStation Showcase this month.
I think you're gonna be waiting a while on that one, man. That's crazy. This man said PlayStation Showcase this month.
Listen, man, I got dudes trust me sources. You see the boy Wonton, or it's like PlayStation's brewing something.
Yeah, right. But it's like that like Shu and Greg Rice took a picture next to, there's like a Millennia statue in their office or whatever, and now people are like, oh my god, From Software acquisition's coming. It's
like these people saw a UFO. They just
I know, right? These or Sasquatch in the woods, man. Like they swore they saw Sasquatch. These men are desperate, man. They're hungry.
Oh man.
But yeah, man, that's gonna do it for us this week. Thank you guys for watching or listening, whatever the case may be. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week with another episode of the DualShock and Sense podcast. Until then, peace out.